Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid. Roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I look at everything, but we take time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, to see how they play out as karmic themes because we want to know why the person that we're dealing with is doing what they're doing. Because we feel one thing, they do something else, they say one thing, they do something else, it's triggering. And worse yet, it's when dealing with a person that's imbalanced, they make you imbalanced and imbalanced by the way that you think, the way that you think about yourself, the way that you wind up dealing with people. Because when you're around someone toxic, you're going to form habits and behaviorisms that are in alignment with that. So when you understand why you attract who you attract, you're able to integrate the spiritual lesson, and that allows you to break that karmic cord, which a lot of times we're like, I'm connected to someone that I don't really want to be connected to. And it's like you love that person, but you don't trust that person. You love that person, but you don't really know how the relationship can work because, again, the previous dealing with somebody that was, toxic or imbalanced. So a lot of times understanding allows you to stop ruminating enough to be able to, do what you need to do to integrate the spiritual lesson, and not just integrate the spiritual lesson, but actually consciousness, one that's more in alignment with not the wounds of your past. All right, anything of any importance or relevance to the channel, you know where to find it. It's going to be in the description box. I'm going to see the first two cards. Look, that just came flying out, so we have to take it. But we're also going to go from another just to get the underlying energy. All right. So we're dealing with a soulmate. Soulmate that for a long time, the chemistry was so strong. Like you could feel when this person was around and vice versa. I feel like right now, this person and you are not on the same wavelength. And it's because of this person's lies. And you're like, and I don't really even feel them. I feel like they're disassociated, meaning they're detached. And possibly not just because of you, but this person just, I feel like people that disassociate, it's like they don't can't feel their own emotions. It's that so detached from those emotions, and it's just that happened long before they met you. However, it's going to trigger you because you're going to think, well, if we are so connected, like a souls mate connection, and we had this strong, like so much chemistry, then how can this person disconnect? Survival. But it doesn't mean that this person doesn't have feelings. It means that they deal with people very logically, very analytically. They're detached from their own feelings, their own emotions. So we see what are they on a spiritual level? What type of relationship? Where are they right now? What's going on? I wanted to send you a message today, but I was afraid to. I don't know if you want to hear from me or if I can say the right thing right now because this person can't feel you. And I think that when people get really, really nervous, they go into that fight, flight, freeze mode and they can't tell. So if this person could feel like they could, feel out the situation to be open, they would come running on in, is what I feel. And again, as they say, they think that you have expectations. So it's like, as you surrender your 3D expectations, I surrender to our 5D connection. And that's, again, the soulmate connection where this person, it's not that they don't have feelings. It's that they're very logical. So yeah, we have a spiritual connection. There's a 5D connection, but what does that mean? What does that mean? It's like, am I supposed to do something? And you're like, well, I'm assuming that you should, if you're my person and you're my soulmate, it should look a certain way. And you're not showing me that. And this person, again, that's what gives them this anxiety. It makes them, because expectation. With unconditional love, there is no expectation, there is no ownership. So this person does have feelings, but they're like, you're not going to control me through this, whatever, this spiritual bond or whatever it is. They feel like, I need to move slowly with this, but trust that I am moving even when it seems that I'm not. And it's like that this person's so mental. It's like they overthink. They have spiritual blockages probably within their relationships, their intimacy, their trust, the emotional center. You know, they have a hard time going with the flow of life. They would be someone that would be very controlling. Even if they weren't controlling you, they're going to control what there's. Now, people, this is a side note, that people that have some fear of commitment, it's because at such a young age they couldn't grow up. They either had to be the parent or they had to be the fixer. So the expectation where this person refuses to emotionally get manipulated, because again, that's how they grew up. So they have like a fear of that. So they don't deal with anything on an emotional level because they have trauma from that. Because a person that disconnects completely from the emotions to the point that, no, I'm not going to look at anything like that. But meanwhile, you're probably someone that's very emotional, and needs that. And Spirit says, whatever you just cleared, help me shift to. So I feel like this person can feel like when twin flames are going to look at each other, or any soulmate really is going to look at the situation from all different perceptions. So sometimes you can be really mad at this person, sometimes not as much. Try to understand this person because there's feelings there. And what we see is that this person is good with feelings, you guys have past life memories together. So, in past life karmic mate, meaning you guys did in a past life and get to do it again in this life. And the thing is, it's like those memories are surfacing unconsciously and unconsciously. And unfortunately, the first thing that comes is that this person has to, clear their inner child. That's what comes before you can even be in this connection, because this person has a lot of wounds. This is again from their perception. Remember, we haven't pulled your wounds yet. We're going to see why you attracted this person into your life, but we can see where they need healing, and we could actually see why it would also trigger the shit out of you. I feel your energy is around me sometimes, and I wonder, are you thinking about me too? The universe brought us together for a reason. That's what this person is saying. And they're saying, I'm trying to discover what that is, though, because I'm really conflicted about whether I have what it takes to be your partner. It's like, so that's really the issue. It's like the whole expectation brings, am I good enough? Am I worthy? All these core beliefs that are blocking this person from actually love, their subconscious blocks, but there is love there. Is that this person wouldn't be sitting there trying to logic this and figure it out. They're not going to be able to figure it out. It's a spiritual connection purposely, because Spirit says, because this person would figure it out. They're smart. They sit puzzle, but they're not going to be able to do it. And Spirit says, to be that way. You know why? Because this person isn't very spiritually smart at all. So they have a lot of wounds when it comes to that. Your mission is to be unconditional love. Clearing the programming is a necessary part of opening your heart. So again, this is a soul relationship to teach about unconditional love, but we have to learn to unconditionally love ourselves first. So again, it brings this person all the way into their wounds. So you could say, because it doesn't make sense why this person does what they do and why it's so hurtful and why they, and spirit says, well, this is what it looks like for them, how they feel. They can not going to be able to have good relationship until they start to love themselves. But this relationship is making them learn. Is again, stop long enough for that. There are messages being exchanged through music and movies. And this person is spiritually picking up things. They know that this is more than a relationship and that there is a higher purpose to their connection. So it's like, because they can't control it. And that's what it is, because they can't control it. And I feel like this person's tried to let go. I feel like they've tried to walk away. I feel like they've tried to do everything to it, which probably is why the relationship looks the way that it does. Like you're looking like it's going to look like crap, because the person has issues within themselves. But, you know, from a lower energy, spirit's going to use, the attraction, because that's the thing. It's like, is it going to might even come across lusty, because this person feels the chemistry and need to, and they like between you guys, and just, they're like, just believe that it's just going to work out. It's like, even if it's not working out right now, like, even though it doesn't logically make sense, it's connected to claircognizance, which is, it's a past life connection. I know this couldn't work out. But the thing is, everybody has free will. But, it means it should have worked out. If it was that easy. We don't know whether or not this person sabotaged it yet. We're just seeing where this person is, and what they've done. This person just feels like, if you have patience, like eventually patience. But uh, that's where they are right now. Hey everyone, Kimberly and Messengers of Angels. Forgot your name. My apologies. So, there's all this internal stuff that's going on. But if we look and we're like, okay, so what did they do? We can pick some cards, but like, don't be surprised when you don't see happy cards, because this person doesn't like who they are. They don't think that they're worthy to be in a connection. So whatever, we think is what comes true. So it's the inner child wound. So before we can actually be in a successful relationship, we have to heal. If we don't love ourselves, like I said, then this person doesn't love themselves. Not really. It's like due to experiences. So when you were dealing with them, you just felt like you both have different ideas what love and intimacy are. Like, it's almost like a mismatch. But this person, like, was the chameleon. I feel like they became everything you wanted them to become. And that's because when people don't feel good about themselves, it's because they don't have an identity. They don't know who they are. If you don't know who you are, and then you're looking at other people and saying, wow, I like what this person's life looks like, and you try to emulate that person's life, your life is not going to look anything like that person. Because people that have successful lives, they are authentic, they're true, they're putting the energy out there the best way they know how to become themselves, and the path unfolds and confidence grows. And that's the thing. It's how much love we pour into ourselves. This person doesn't love themselves. So again, they're going to emulate what you want them to be, but that's not who they are. And because they'll always wind up giving too much in the beginning, because I want you to like me. I want you to like me. Oh, once you like them and they win you over, oh, they become somebody else, which is what you know. And that's like where this person does have like does have feelings. There is an empathetic bond, which melts the heart, but this person doesn't believe. And you don't believe, you're not going to respond properly. It's like, are they aware? Subconsciously, no. Like I said, inner child wounds are affecting their thing. Do they know that? No, that spirit that's interacting there, when, because this person doesn't know. Spirit has a hand in the relationship. So you just felt like it was dealing with them. You always had to like read between the lines, because if this person would again not hide things from you. And it's because they were never, it wasn't so much that they were hiding from you. They were trying to please you. And then they had their own real life. People can emulate who I want you to perceive I am. But guess what? Behind the scenes, I might like, I'm showing you that I'm this person, but behind the scenes, I'm really, I work at Walmart, which there's nothing wrong with working at Walmart, but I might be prancing around like I have, a yacht, and I'm a multi-billionaire, like it's selling the wrong. It's that the person has to create like the illusion of who they want you to believe they are when they don't like who they are. So, it's and that doesn't feel good. So when we don't feel good, we have to do outside things to feel good. We have to get people to like us. Again, but sooner or later the mask falls off, you see who they are, and then the what they feel about themselves is what they wind up creating, the self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, I don't like myself, so I knew, you weren't gonna stay. I'm not gonna let you get close, because it's like, where's the identity? Well, it was in their childhood wounds. We're not shame, we're not victimization, we're not those things. But if we had trauma, well, we were in survival. And again, if this person was the parent, they were too busy being the parent. That's the reason why this person needs to take time out and find to and to regroup, and to heal. It's like, and to find themselves, otherwise what happens with this person is they're here for a good time, not a long time, and it's about a lot of passion, so much that it's consuming. And then it's like I said, it doesn't last. So, and that becomes very addictive behavior, by the way, because person can't sustain themselves on an emotional level, and it doesn't feel good not to like yourself and to be a people pleaser. If you're emulating, if you're being a chameleon, you're becoming who the person wants you to become. It's draining. I don't want to become who you want to become. You want to do what you want to do. And that's the thing. So nothing would fill this person. So that's the issue. And then I would feel like this person did, they wouldn't really, they were avoidant. And of course, they're avoidant of any connection, conversation. They won't even look at their own shit. So never mind, look at the relationship. So it's like this person likes to be wild, which is just run around, like not really in any relationship, but insignificant relationships, but of course pretending that they want the relationship. So that's what happened. This person's used to living like that, and here you come along, like a person that there's a real connection. They're like, everyone's full of shit. They realize that this wasn't full of shit. They don't understand it there, because it's like there has to be a reason. And it's like, yeah, because spirit's saying like your character is horrible due to, like, again, you're living fragmented, being fragmented. Your character is horrible. It's like, and so this person would not change. Love makes a person change, and you're in separation from this person where, you know, like they feel your energy still. There's still a hold. So we see, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to do anything ever? That just got flipped right on over. Well, it was too many. It was like a whole pack. I'm not going to take that many. But I'm sure that this person is going to try and do a lot. But whether it's going to be good, it may be something altogether different. This person abandons people to make themselves feel important. That's what I was saying. And so it's again that behavior of running in and out because they feel like they're not good enough for you. This goes back to the same thing. They miss you, but it would always be a one-sided relationship because they don't really feel like they can give you what you need, which is the issue. But you are always on their mind, and that's the thing. The person is stopping themselves. It's like, and as long as and right now, that's where they are, but that would explain why they treated you badly. Because it's like, I'm used to living like this. That makes me feel better about myself. It's like they have to live that way in order to have to feel good about themselves, to emotionally and sustain themselves. So it's kind of very narcissistic. So you have to say, why did you attract this person into your life? You're a mirror of who and what comes into your life. You're like, did I deserve that? No, no one deserves that. However, the universe always brings us what we need. So if we're a good person, we just overgive and overdo, guess what? You're going to think twice about overgiving and overdoing for the next person, especially if they were like an empty well in a one-sided relationship where this person's fragmented. It's like whatever happened to them in their childhood. They could have been sexually abused, molested. This is like they had to be the parent. They had to, live the lie so they can survive being the chameleon. There's usually some deep-seated trauma, like their father was abusive. If it was a guy, it was like it's if it was a girl, it could have been either or, but it's like that deep-seated betrayal growing up in that survival. That person never is able to really find their hobbies. They don't go out and discover the world. They're too busy trying to be the parent, trying to hold down support. And so, they were taught at a very young age not to trust because they had to just rely on themselves. So we see what you saw is, why did you attract this person? No emotional support. The physical touch to me is emotional. So when you feel like you haven't gotten that emotional support, it was cards just flying out of my hands. Just trauma, very traumatic for you. So it's psychological. Like, why isn't my parent like showing me love? Why do they not, let me feel vulnerable? Vulnerability, child has to feel vulnerable, otherwise they just don't feel safe. And so, like, the mind doesn't know the difference. What the hell do I keep doing? I keep on touching something. And so life was frustrating. It was very frustrating. And so you didn't really discipline yourself enough when it came to creating yourself and finding yourself either. Because on an emotional level, you had to give it to yourself. So you cared more about those things, like fitting in maybe, and like keeping up with your friends, or like, again, looking for the answer outside of you because you weren't getting that emotional support at home. So you weren't really like optimistic about it. If anything, you were seeing a little bit rebellious, because it's like, emotionally, if you're not getting from your parents, you're not being encouraged, you're going to do what you want to do to emotionally make yourself feel better. And of course, parents going to be like, you hang out with Mary Sue, didn't you? Smoking cigarettes, huh? That's what you were doing all day? Shaming you, making you feel bad, and just pointing out all the things that you weren't doing, instead of, like, hey, encouraging you, nurturing you. And it was just, again, the way that they dealt with, disciplining. So you're like, well, I'm just going to do what the hell I want when I want. But then, 20 years later, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to be when I grow up. When really it's the dreams, when we're children, because when an Olympic player becomes in that when did they start? They started a long time ago. When you see a famous piano player, hey, when did they start doing that? They were 4 and they're 30. Of course they're going to be great. It's mastery comes in doing. And it's how much you do, it's how much energy you pour into something, it's how much you love, it's the passion for life that you have. And so Spirit's saying, well, again, if you are emotionally getting your needs fed by, you know, friends and other things, then there's a sense of, I don't really know what I'm good at. And Spirit says, that's the reason why. And then also emotionally being judged for friends and getting that emotional support from outside instead of being really taught by a parent, hey, join this, encourage, do this, I'll show up, I'm going to support you, I'm going to be rooting you on. It was your parent really wasn't really that invested. And it's not a blame game, but we have to understand where, the trauma came from. If our parent worked all the time, we're going to find ways to entertain ourselves. And a lot of times it's not going to be productive. Let's face it. We're going to be a little naughty. I mean, that's what kids do. All right. So Spirit says, so we have to embody a whole new consciousness. Spirit says it's time to go into the unknown, open your heart to new, where true growth occurs. Go out into the world. You don't even know who you are, what you like, what you don't. How are you going to know unless you go out and try? Pour into yourself, have a love affair with yourself. If someone comes into your life, it's okay to date, but don't give up what you're doing. It's like they don't have to come along either. Spirit says you have to teach people how you want to be treated. And if you're coming from a cup that's half empty, you don't even realize you're overgiving, overdoing. You had to heal. And, beyond the soul's calling, it's time to listen to the whispers of your soul. Just make sure that you align your actions with your values. You want to be a good person, make sure that you put out good things. It's like, and listen to let your soul guide you, but do it in the unknown. Go into a place that you've never gone before because nobody knows you. No one has any judgments at all. Again, because you're going to see yourself differently. It helps to be around like an entire environment. Spirit says, release control. The second chakra is that you're not in control. Spirit says you're allowed to say what you want to create and what type of life you want to have. You are not allowed to say how we get there. Spirit says when the student is ready, the teacher appears. God says, I am everywhere. I am ubiquitous. I will bring you everything that you need through the universe. That we know what you want, we know, but we're going to bring you the people and the situations and the experiences because it's going to change your mind and your heart. It's going to change the way you think, the way that you see things, which hopefully will allow you to see yourself differently so you can actually, again, step into different possibilities, fulfill your promise to yourself. Why are you here? God says there's a bigger reason to why you're here, and it's not to be with that person. Spirit says you first, and that's you first through your passion, through their hobbies. It's again, we give and receive of love through your free will to be consistent, to be grounded, to become yourself, to connect through the heart. And Spirit says, because then emotionally you're always getting fed. So if someone comes in and they only have a little tiny thing to give you, you don't have time. It's like you see the person doesn't really want to invest in you. And why is that important? Because you want to be around someone that acts like you're not important, that you don't matter. It's a way that they can elevate themselves to act like they're more superior. Spirit says again, it's beyond the illusion. It's again, discern the truth. That's why. You can't discern the truth unless you're balanced. Otherwise people are going to show you counterfeit. And that's what it is. And Spirit says, again, use your passion to fight for what you believe in. You can, again, stand your ground with everything in life. I mean, everyone's going to want to use your time, your energy, your focus, your money. People will try and emotionally manipulate you. They can't. Because if you're in your passion, you're not going to let them, because the path unfolds while you're on it, bringing you that support, bringing you that love. You're never moving you. It's called living your bliss. And that's why you just have to, again, be putting the energy out there the best way that you know how. And that's by becoming it and doing it and becoming it and doing it and being consistent and showing up for yourself and pouring into yourself and loving on yourself, Spirit says. Then you clear those spiritual blocks so you can harness that energy to actually manifest, because it takes a lot of energy to manifest. It's how much time, energy, focus, and money. You're the magician of your life. That's what that tarot card means. The magician. How are you going to create? Again, through clearing those blocks, that's one way. And this person, again, it was needed to be cleared. The spirit saying, you settle in for less than you deserve. You know, they acted like that was a big burger, but you know what? It was a frozen White Castle. But you've been starving for a long time, and it looked like a burger, and you settled for less. When Spirit says, and that's why it was against spiritual law. Spiritual law, God says, you must love yourself first. It's like, and you love yourself, you love me first, because I'm inside of you. And we co-create, and we co-create through your passion, so that anybody that comes into your life, you're demanding respect without actually saying, we need to talk. Because once you need to talk, you might as well not, because that person doesn't, you've already trained them. You've already trained them that it's okay to disrespect, that you would put up with that, because emotionally, well, it's better than nothing. And Spirit says, no, it's not. Not on my time. I give you free will, but there's karmic consequences, because I'm not going to let you just get away with disrespecting the both of us. Yeah, people will always try to sell you, and get you to do what they want you to do and become who you want them to become. It's hard to not sway from that, Spirit says. People will try and trick you and counterfeit, show you stuff. So it's one way that you have discernment. You're always in the light. And Spirit says, you're always in the light when you're in the energy of unconditional love, because that's the energy of God. That's the energy of the universe. And not with somebody that pisses you off because they want to give you so little. And they have issues and they want to project those issues onto you. Spirit says, your heart needs to be free from resentment towards others. Open your eyes of your heart and discover the light and beauty in every being. Be aware that suffering can cause distress and hurt in people. And you need to see the pure child in everyone and practice forgiveness. That's why. And that might have been because, again, how you were raised, emotionally not getting that support, that not having that parent. And then Spirit says, and then forgive yourself and forgive that person, because they're wounded and they need to do the healing that they need to do. It had nothing to do with you. It brought up stuff that needed to be cleared from you, so that, again, you can clear those spiritual blocks and let spirit, which is the prana, which is air, which is ubiquitous, flow through us. So we have a lot of vitality and energy to manifest the life and the life experiences that we want to have. That's why this person came into your life. I'm going to leave that there. Anyone have any questions? Hi, Lorna. Hello, how lovely to hear your kind voice. Thank you for the reading today. I just love your thank you so much. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. If you like the video, please give it a like. It's good for the channel. And if you guys haven't checked out my shadow healing coaching program, check it out. $7.99 a month will get you group shadow healing coaching. It's fun, it's interactive. Do it with the cards. I always channel like for at least 10-15 minutes, sometimes a half an hour when no one's on. Like sometimes I do coaching and people watch it in the archives. So 45 minutes of channel when no one's on, always on a spiritual topic, one that will help to teach you so that you will have discernment and notice when someone has these behaviorisms. A lot of times we don't notice because we're just not aware. We're caught up in life. So we don't want to look for things. See, we don't want to, that's because then we see what we look for. We want to be strong within ourselves, create ourselves so we're fully balanced and so we're fully in the light. And then, you know, we'll be able to have discernment when we're actually in the relationship. So we don't need to plan anything ahead of time. Spirit says, remember, only in the now do I give you divine guidance. So it's, again, we don't look for things, but we're balanced because, again, we're emotionally fulfilled. So if that person doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. But you have to train a person how you want to be treated. And that's how you treat yourself. And you're more likely to meet a person that will give you that love if they're giving it to themselves, because they're going to say, well, you attract how you treat other people, and your experiences. So people that invest in themselves, they're pretty much trying to align themselves spiritually. So they're not going to treat the person that they're involved with like shit. But guess what? They're also not in a codependent relationship. Like most of these relationships would be codependent, because even in this story, the person didn't create enough of their life. They were the parent, and then they got their emotional fulfillment from, hanging out with friends and doing what kids do, but not really creating like a future life because there was no guidance, there was no emotional support. It's not a blame game, but we always have to bypass the reptilian mind by saying, why did that happen? Why? Because a reptilian mind would say, I don't want to do the healing work. You think I want to be uncomfortable? So we have to bypass it by saying, well, if we know the truth, then we'll say, well, it is true. So we can put our time towards creating ourselves every single day and realizing how important it is that if you didn't, you always have to reparent yourself. Your parents aren't going to fix it. You have to fix it. So, and that means if you didn't create that life, or you don't like your life because you're looking at it through a certain perception, we don't look for a person to come in and change it. We change it ourselves. And it might take just a mustard seed's worth of effort every single day, but it multiplies. It's a faith walk. I'm going to leave that there. Let me know how you resonate, but be true to yourself. Remember, the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. That is how you fight the war that's happening, the spiritual warfare that's happening. You protect yourself because your mind is fully in the light. And because, again, the warfare comes through the mind, through trauma. And again, where we actually destroy ourselves. So again, we have to embody that consciousness of unconditional love and stay in the light and have faith. And when we all do it, we begin to change collectively. And that's what we're actually supposed to be doing. All these scary situations that we see that create divide, well, we're not supposed to stay more scary. Well, they'll take away our spiritual sovereignty, which again, your spiritual sovereignty gives you supernatural energy. Remember, God made you in its image. You have its power. You have to harness that power by becoming, by becoming, by becoming, by becoming, repetition, repetition, and become yourself. And God makes a way, and the universe makes a way where there is no way, just for you. Stay in the light. And I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.